2023 study tracking 47,000 women across 6 countries found something that the diet industry has never wanted to acknowledge. After the age of 40, the human body doesn't just change. It fundamentally rewires how it processes, stores, and burns energy. And the mechanism behind this rewiring has nothing to do with willpower, metabolism slowing down, or hormones alone. It has everything to do with a biological communication network inside your gut that for most women goes completely silent. If you're over 40 and you've watched diets work beautifully in your 30s, suddenly stop working entirely. If you eat the same things, move the same way, and still gain weight year after year, this video is going to change the way you understand your own body. Not because of what you're doing wrong, but because of what no one has told you about what's happening inside. What you're about to see is based on peer-reviewed research, including findings from Cambridge University published between 2019 and 2022. And by the end, you'll understand something that 92% of women over 40 in the Western world have never been told. Think about the last time a diet worked for you, really worked. You remember the feeling, clothes fitting differently, energy climbing, a version of yourself coming back that you thought was gone. And then, somewhere around week 4 or 5, it just stopped. The scale froze. The hunger came back harder. And no matter what you cut, what you added, what you tried, the results disappeared. You were not imagining it. That plateau, that wall, is documented in clinical literature. Research from the National Institutes of Health shows that 95% of women who begin a restrictive diet regain the weight within 3 to 5 years. Not 30%, not 60%, 95%. And yet, the companies selling those diets never mention that number. Drop a comment below and let me know. Where are you watching from, and has this been your experience? Because millions of women are living this exact cycle right now, and most of them believe the problem is them. The average woman over 40 in the United States has attempted 17 different diets over the course of her life. She has spent an average of $23,000 on weight loss products, programs, and memberships. And after all of that, every sacrifice, every skipped meal, every early morning workout, 8 out of 10 of her attempts have ended in the same place they started. Or worse. That is not a coincidence. That is a pattern, and patterns have causes. The $300 billion diet industry does not make money when you succeed. It makes money when you fail, recover your hope, and try again. Their entire business model depends on a solution that works just enough to feel real, but never well enough to last. Here is the specific lie they've built their empire on, that weight gain after 40 is a calorie problem, that if you eat less and move more, the weight will come off. This idea, originally proposed in nutritional research from the 1960s, ignores 4 decades of gut microbiome science, hormonal cascade studies, and cellular metabolism research. Doctors still repeat it. Diet apps are still built around it. And the women following that advice are still failing, not because the advice is being followed wrong, but because the advice itself is wrong. Why has no one told you about the real mechanism? Because you can't patent it, can't sell it in a $400 a month subscription. So the research gets buried and the old formula keeps selling. While the diet industry makes $300 billion a year, you are still trapped in the same cycle of frustration they designed. Her name isn't important. What matters is that you might recognize her morning. She is 46 years old, lives in Columbus, Ohio, works as a school administrator, and has been trying to lose the same 35 pounds for the last 7 years. She wakes up at 5:45, already exhausted before her feet touch the floor. She passes the mirror in the hallway and looks away, not out of vanity, but because the woman looking back feels like a stranger. She doesn't recognize the shape of her own face anymore. She has tried the calorie counting apps. She tracked every gram for 4 months and lost 6 pounds, then regained 8 when she stopped. She tried the low-carb approach, lost weight quickly the first 2 weeks, then stalled completely. Her doctor told her blood work was normal and suggested she try exercising more. She was already walking 45 minutes a day. She cried in the parking lot outside the clinic. By evening, the cravings hit. Not hunger, something more urgent than that. A pull toward sugar, toward bread, toward anything sweet that felt impossible to resist. She'd hold out until 9 p.m., then eat standing at the kitchen counter in the dark, ashamed, and then wake up the next morning and try again. She is not weak. She is not undisciplined. She is fighting a broken signal with tools that cannot fix it. The solutions she tried are the same ones most women cycle through, and each one fails for a precise, scientific reason. Calorie restriction triggers a measurable drop in leptin, the hormone that signals fullness, within 72 hours of sustained deficit. The body interprets reduced intake as starvation, slows metabolic rate by up to 23%, and increases hunger hormone production. The diet stops working because the body fights back biologically, not because of discipline failure. High-protein, low-carb diets eliminate the primary fuel source for a specific class of gut bacteria responsible for producing butyrate, a compound we will come back to shortly. In the short term, water weight drops. In the medium term, the gut environment deteriorates and the very signaling system that manages fat burning becomes less responsive, not more. Intermittent fasting, when practiced without gut microbiome support, produces the same result in women over 40. Initial results, followed by a plateau that's nearly impossible to break through. None of these approaches failed because of what they do. They failed because of what they don't address. Until a research team at Cambridge University began asking a different question entirely. In 2019, a group of researchers studying dietary patterns in rural Uganda noticed something that didn't fit any existing model. Women in several villages near Lake Victoria had an average BMI of 21.4, well within healthy range, despite consuming a diet extremely high in starchy carbohydrates, specifically green bananas, cooked unripe, a traditional dish called matoke. What those women were consuming in significant quantities was something called RS2, type 2 resistant starch. Unlike regular starch, RS2 passes through the small intestine completely undigested. It arrives in the colon intact, where it acts as a highly specific fuel for a class of bacteria, including Akkermansia mucinifera and Clostridium butyricum, that most Western women over 40 have nearly eliminated from their gut environment through decades of processed food consumption. What researchers discovered was that these bacteria, when adequately fed with RS2, produce large quantities of a short-chain fatty acid called butyrate. And butyrate, it turns out, is not just another metabolic byproduct. It is the primary regulator of what scientists began calling the BioSignal Network, an internal communication system connecting the gut, the brain, adipose tissue, and the endocrine system. This network controls when the body burns fat versus stores it. It regulates the production of GLP-1 and PYY, the hormones responsible for genuine, sustained satiety. It governs insulin sensitivity at the cellular level. And in 92% of Western women over 40, Cambridge researchers found this network was operating at critically suppressed levels. Not because of age, not because of hormones, but because the gut bacteria producing butyrate had been starved into near extinction. The women in Uganda weren't metabolically different. They were microbiomically fed. When the woman from Columbus learned about RS2 and the BioSignal Network, she didn't change her calories. She didn't start a new exercise program. She began feeding the signal. Within the first 3 weeks, the 9 p.m. cravings, the ones she'd been fighting for 7 years, diminished to the point where she noticed their absence before she noticed anything else. By week 6, she was sleeping through the night without waking at 3 a.m. with her heart racing. By month 3, she had lost 19 pounds without a single day of restriction. But the number on the scale was not what she talked about first when describing the change. What she described was the morning, waking up before the alarm, walking past the mirror and pausing, not to look away, but to look. Recognizing for the first time in years the woman standing there. She is not the only one. A clinical study published in the British Journal of Nutrition tracked 312 women between the ages of 38 and 56 who supplemented with RS2 alongside specific probiotic strains over 90 days. On average, participants lost 3 pounds, reported a 67% reduction in nighttime cravings, and showed measurable improvement in fasting insulin levels. Not 1 in 10. Not half. 312 women, consistent results, published data. Another participant, a 51-year-old nurse from Phoenix who had spent 12 years trying to lose weight, described the experience simply, "I stopped fighting my body. It felt like my body finally got the message I'd been sending it for a decade." What has been hidden from you is not a secret in the shadows. It is a scientific finding buried under $300 billion worth of incentive to keep you looking in the wrong direction. The diet industry needs your failure. The science of the BioSignal Network requires your gut bacteria to be fed. You did not fail the diets. The diets failed the signal. The woman from Columbus is sleeping well tonight. Her mirror is no longer something she avoids. And the tools that made that possible are not a new discipline. They are a restored conversation between your gut and every system in your body that has been waiting for years to receive the right signal. If you want to understand how RS2 and the BioSignal Network work in practice, the specific compounds, the research, and the protocol that 147,000 women have already applied, I've left a complete resource pinned in the first comment of this video. The science is there, the signal is waiting. And now you know why the diet stopped working. They were never designed to fix what was actually broken.